My name is Amelia Hofstetter. I'm a Ph.D. I decided to focus on immunology because I was introduced to a book that was basically a layperson's guide to virology. I found it highly interesting. But then there wasn't a virology class available in my college when I was at that level to be able to take these classes. So what I was able to take was immunology, and I actually discovered that I liked that even better. So I was lucky enough to be able to take this class and then pursue that further in my graduate studies. What I hoped to have happen at Immunology 2013 was to make connections with other researchers, to learn more about my field, because I'm relatively new in influenza, and so I wanted to hear a lot of talks to be more familiar with influenza research, and then the immunological side of influenza research, and also to build collaborations and connections that might be useful in the future. I really wanted to pursue a career in science because I love the aspect of bench work and just always being able to make a discovery, and the day-to-day lab work really excites me. And then also I love to write about science and be able to share these discoveries as we make them with people. And I hope to also be able to write at some point, do scientific writing to even better be able to share the discoveries we're making more coherently with the general populace. For me, the most exciting topic in immunology has always been viral or bacterial pathogenesis and the role of immunology in that. I like to see when the immune system's working correctly. I think there's a lot of money right now in immunology fields when the immune system's not working right, and that's absolutely important, and I'm glad it's being studied. But to me, when it's working like the way it should is when immunology is the most wonderful and exciting, and that is always what I wanted to pursue. I think that I definitely am afraid to carry on in academia at times, especially with the current funding environment. As a trainee, it's terrifying to think of breaking into this massive complex of researchers that have established grants and labs, and to try to imagine how can I have an idea novel enough and strong enough to compete. And even if I could get a trainee grant, which may be relatively easier to attain at the trainee level, then will my ideas be able to be sustainable enough after that first 3-5 year grant? So I definitely think that I'm nervous sometimes to continue as an academician, but at the same time, I like to think that some of the skills I've been taught through my mentors will enable me to be an academic researcher and to pursue that field. And then I also know that there are lots of other options for someone with my skills and expertise, and so I'm trying to go where life leads me at this point and keep my options open. What I hope to have happen in my future in immunology is to continue growing as a researcher, to do a lot more bench science and be able to move between different fields a little bit longer. I'm still a pretty junior trainee, and I think that I have a lot of room to grow. But eventually I hope to be able to be an independent researcher, and then maybe at some point to settle down and do some scientific writing, maybe on the editorial level, and be able to take my understanding of science and be able to use it to apply to helping other people, maybe that aren't experts in science, understand scientific concepts better. Going into science has been my idea. I've been encouraged by a lot of people to go into science. I had all the way from high school teachers that thought that there was nothing better I could possibly do with myself. But I've also been heavily influenced by my parents, who are both researchers, and being able to research with them as early as undergrad and helping them with their research even when I was younger has definitely influenced my understanding of what it means to be a scientist and the value and merit in scientific research. So I think that those are pretty strong influences in my decision to do science for a living. So once in one of my graduate labs, I had a friend who thought it would be fun to pour ethanol all over the bench and light it on fire and make a little mini fire in a controlled circumstance on his bench. And it was all fun and games until he decided to put it out using a styrofoam container. And I was like, you know that's flammable, right? So he's sitting there making napalm on his benchtop while I'm like screaming at him. And that was pretty much hysterical. It ended up okay, no one was hurt, but it was really funny. What motivates me to continue in science is that I genuinely, truly love both the bench work and the writing. Sometimes things don't go right, and sometimes you're wondering why, you know, you're doing this and when you could maybe be making more money in another field, but then something clicks into place and you get the data you need, and it's just the best feeling ever. And I don't know how I could possibly be in another career where it's not, where you don't have the opportunity to get those aha moments, those eureka moments. It's just too gratifying to replace with anything else.